we're going back to our first speaker, the fabulous Jan Jones. Jan Jones Blackhurst. She is the Executive Vice President of Communications and Government Relations for Caesars Entertainment Corporation. In that role, she oversees government relations, corporate communications, corporate social responsibility, and environmental sustainability for the company. And of course, in case you've forgotten, she was the mayor of the city of Las Vegas twice, starting in 1999. I give you the one and only Jan Jones Blackhurst.
Thank you, Paula, and I'm delighted to be here today. The subject of women and where women are in society today and the workforce today is one that I find myself becoming increasingly obsessed with. For the last 30 years now, I've been giving the same speech. When I was first elected mayor of Las Vegas, I talked about how white women earn 70 cents on the dollar to their white male counterparts, that African-American women earn 68 cents on the dollar to their white male counterparts, and that Latino women earn 58 cents on the dollar. Now let's fast forward 30 years. What are those numbers? 77 cents, 68 cents, 58 cents. And what I find extraordinary is that many young women today think there's not a glass barrier anymore. They think the problem is solved. And I think it's time for them to understand the problem is not solved. No. The problem has gone away. It's become invisible. And everybody says it's over. According to a recent Forbes article, and a truth that we know is one of the world's greatest emerging markets is closer than we think, because women are the world's most powerful consumers and their impact on the economy is growing every year. The global incomes of women are predicted to reach a staggering $18 trillion by 2018. Women also drive 70 to 80% of all consumer decision making. Think about that, 70 to 80%. And even if they're not directly making the purchase, they're influencing the purchase. Why? Because our husbands want us to be happy. You want that car, we're going to buy that car. You want that house, we're going to buy that house. So understanding the tremendous impact, they estimate that if you just achieved equal pay for equal work, you would invest into the economy over $4 trillion additional dollars. Gender is probably the most powerful determinant of how we see the world and everything in it. It's more significant than age, income, ethnicity, or geography. Gender is often a blind spot for businesses, partially because the subject is not typically addressed in most undergraduate or graduate level courses or the workplace itself, which is extraordinary to me. And it goes back to this assumption that all things are now equal and we can move forward. In the U.S., we're making some progress. Women comprise 57% of the workforce. Women earn, and listen to this, 60% of all master's degrees. And studies have proven that when there are women at higher levels of executive decision-making positions in corporations, you make more money, you have better decisions, female IQ, they have a higher EQ, which you're seeing in corporate America today becomes a very profitable driver of outcome. And there are studies that have now categorically shown that businesses with more women on their board of directors are higher performing. So that's the good news. The bad news, as I said, equal pay for equal work, hardly a reality. 24 women, 24, serve as CEOs of Fortune 500 companies in the United States. That's less than 5%. 53% of new hires are women, but only 37% are managers, 26% are vice presidents, and only 14% serve on executive committees. Now let's go back to the 60% who are graduating with the MBAs. The conclusion is that representation at the top is not happening. Now, some of this, and I've really made a study of it and like to study it further, the reason is that work cultures were designed in the 50s for white male. And really, for the white males in the audience, I am not picking on you. I have great respect for white males. But they were. And one of my favorites, and I always say it as if I'm kidding, but I'm not. My favorite is the 7:30 meeting. Men love 7:30 meetings. All right, all of you women, what are you doing at 7:30? The house is chaos. You're trying to get kids up. You're trying to get lunches packed. You're trying to get backpacks on. You're trying to go. What does your spouse say? Love to help, honey. I've got a 7:30 meeting. You can't keep cultures that no longer adapt to what working women need. You're balancing, whether it's caregiving for your aging parents or caregiving for your young family, you're balancing multiple responsibilities. And no one is looking to give those up. We're not going to go into a society where women stop having children or forego families in order to succeed in the workplace. So it's time that the workplace and workplace cultures begin to look at how do you adapt so that you're not losing the core of some of the best and brightest minds that should be coming into companies and being creative, being innovative, changing the way we see the world. And I would submit that as we go forward, it's not even just for women, because if you look at the millennials, who are now 34% of the workforce, they're not going to work like that either. I was giving a speech to a group of men, and one very earnest man stood up and he said, I have this job. He said, it's a vice president position. It's very highly compensated. He said, you know, it's 16 to 17 hours a day, 6 days a week. And he said, I have to tell you, I can't find any woman who wants to apply for it. And I looked at him and I said, I have to tell you, I can't imagine any man that wants to apply for it. You know, it's silly that those become the expectations of productivity. But you're not going to change this until we get into business schools. We start having culture determinations within companies. Because too often, women end up having conversations with themselves. We all sit in a room. We all talk about the problems are. We all talk about how we change it. We leave the room, or we have leadership training, and then we take those skills and we go back into the workplace. And the workplace hasn't changed. And the men aren't on listen because, quite frankly, it's not like it's intentional misogyny. It just never occurred to them because it doesn't need to occur for them because it works perfectly for them. So what needs to change? First of all, transparency. Everybody talks about equal pay for equal work. You've got to measure it. You've got to report it. One of my favorite models, and I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Human Rights Committee. The Human Rights Committee was really the real body that took on gay, lesbian, transgender rights. And they did a brilliant thing. They realized that the gay, lesbian, transgender community were spending over $60 billion a year with major American companies. So they went out to those companies and they started grading them. They sent them a questionnaire and they said, where are you on domestic partner benefits? Where are you on gay marriage? A number of things. And then they put out a book and they sent it out to every major of their membership, telling them where to do their business. Do business with them, don't do business with them. Fast back to we make 80% of the purchasing decisions. So pretty soon, everybody wanted a 100% score. We were all running to the 100% score. And we should be asking for a similar score in representation of women. You can figure out equal pay for equal work. It's just an algorithm. You have to go in, you have to look at all the positions, you have to measure it, then you have to post it. You have to consciously say 17% of women in executive positions in the C-suite, when 60% of the graduates, it's not okay. You have to do the same thing. It has to be transparent. We have to start showing that the progress isn't being made except in somebody's mind. The reality has not really gone forward in 30 years, except that we're smarter, we're better educated, were more organized. Now you need to see what you have to do to really move it forward. Transparency, transparency, transparency. I've always thought the gaming industry would be a wonderful model for this, and the reason is threefold. One, they're regulated, which means you have to report on all sorts of things. Two, there's about 9 gaming companies. They're all headquartered in Las Vegas. They're all run largely by entrepreneurs who know each other. They're just competitive enough so that if you started reporting and one saw that they were higher than the other, they'd move quickly to try to address that. You could work in conjunction with a major university, and the beauty of a university is they love to study issues, which business is never going to do because that's not their business. But business, if you put work teams together, they're the petri dish. They could test it. So you see, what is it job sharing? Is it more technology? Is it the ability to give women more flexibility to manage the both their home responsibilities and their business responsibilities? There was one, and this is just because they're not thinking. There was a woman who was recruited to be the chief legal officer for, I think it was Google. And she lost the job because she asked to work Fridays remotely from home so she could be with her children. That's ridiculous. I mean, how hard is it to work from home? There's phones, there's computers, there's pictures of you, there's every kind of technology in the world that allows you to be in the room without necessarily being entirely in the room. But until people recognize that you have to consciously make those adaptations and adjustments, then it's not going to move forward. Albert Einstein once said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. It doesn't take an Einstein to understand the benefits to all of us in closing the gender gap. It's to stop doing the same thing over and over again. It's time to start driving institutional change. It's time to finally really shatter the glass ceiling and truly remove the barriers to the ability of women to attain their highest potential. And it starts with the leaders in the community and the women and men in this room. Thank you.
Dan, thank you so much. Great to see you.
Good to see you.
Jan Jones Blackhurst. Some incredible advice there, and I do believe that what she says about business, they can be the drivers because they want to do business, and they'll do it.